Okay, good morning, everyone. I guess we'll get started here. It's 9 o'clock. My name is John Paris, and I am the chairman of the MDTA Finance Committee. I hereby call the meeting of the Finance Committee to order at 9 a.m. In accordance with live streaming law, this meeting is being conducted via video conference and is being live streamed on the MDTA Finance Committee webpage. All members will have their video active during the entirety of the meeting. I ask that anyone who is presenting or answering questions to please turn your video and audio on when speaking. When you are done, please turn your video off and put your audio on mute. To minimize background noise during the call, I would ask that everyone on the line please mute your lines except when speaking. There are no members of the public, no elected officials, and no media who have pre-registered to comment at this morning's meeting. This time we will begin with agenda item number 1. That is the approval of the February 8th, 2022 open meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
So moved, Member Carroll.
Thank you, Member Carroll. Is there a second?
Member Ardinger, I'll second.
Thank you, Member Ardinger. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The minutes are hereby approved. We will move on to the next item requiring approval. Item number 2, contract J01P2600123, laptops and extended warranties for IT, and Donna will present. Good morning, Donna.
Good morning. We're purchasing replacement laptops for the police, 150 Panasonic Toughbooks. We've actually gone down because the price of the Toughbooks have actually gone down because of the model. They no longer make the CF31, so we're replacing them with the FZ55 Toughbooks. They also are getting in-car docking stations to accommodate the new model. Do you need to have any questions?
Any questions?
I'll make a motion that we approve, or we approve this contract, or to be presented to the Board of Public Works.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Member Rosen. Is there a second?
Member Carroll seconds.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, call the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Thank you, Donna.
Thank you.
The next 2 items on the agenda are updates, and we will move to agenda item number 3. And Chantel and Jeffrey will provide the FY 2023 Department of Legislative Services budget analysis. Good morning, Chantel and Jeffrey.
Good morning. I think am I starting, Chantel?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, okay, I thought so. I just want to make sure. Okay. Good morning. For the record, my name is Jeffrey Brown, Budget Director of the MDTA, and I'm here to provide an overview of the budget issues and recommendations that were presented to the Department of Legislative Services for the full year 2023 legislative budget hearings. The DLS budget analysis is a comprehensive document that examines various aspects of the MDTA operations, such things as proposed funding and personnel. In addition, budget analysis such as the agency's goals and missions, various public policy issues, and potential or recommended budget actions. And there's some detailed information in the appendices that provide overall fiscal activity for the prior, current, and proposed fiscal years. Moving on to the document itself, on page 1, shows a summary of the operating budget. The operating budget for fiscal 2023 increased 33.7 million or 7.2% to 499.5 million. Moving on to the next page, provides a summary of the capital budget. The capital budget increased 25.9 million or 4.5% to 599.1 million. The following page starts some of the or highlights some of the recommended actions and responses, which we will get into some detail a little bit later that Chantel will provide. So moving past those various recommendations and issues, if you go to page, I believe it's page 7, which is Exhibit 3. This exhibit provides a detailed variance analysis of the operating budget. The overall change was 33.7 million, as mentioned. The primary driver or the key or the vast majority of the variance is due to increased debt service, which is 33.2 million. After that, you can see the various lines. We have some additional increases of personnel and benefit costs. Those are offset mainly by the large number at the bottom, the decrease in the Easy Pass costs due to the expected elimination of the transaction processing backlog. And that was worth a reduction of 6.8 million. So as you can see, the three key takeaways really are the big drivers, the debt service of 33.2 million, and then some additional personnel benefit expenses offset by the Easy Pass reduction of the backlog. That's what I have for at this point. I'd be happy to take any questions. Otherwise, I'll turn it over to Chantel.
Questions from any of the members at this point? Okay. Chantel.
Thank you. For the record, my name is Chantel Green, and I'm Director of Finance at the Transportation Authority. Today, I'll provide a brief overview of the various items that the agency was asked to comment on in the fiscal year 2023 Department of Legislative Services DLS Budget Analysis document. Before I get started, I just want to make you aware that I will be toggling back and forth between Attachment 1, which is the DLS analysis, and Attachment 2, the agency's responses to the DLS analysis. The first issue raised by DLS can be found in Attachment 1 at the top of page 21. In short, the write-up provides a brief summary of the Office of Legislative Audit's report and discusses the audit finding pertaining to customer overbillings. DLS concludes the write-up by requesting an accuracy study of the authority's tolling equipment for a 1-week period. The study is to include any occurrences of customer overbillings and the cause of the overbillings, and address the agency's process for ensuring significant tolling issues are identified, stopped, and corrected. You'll note in the agency's responses that the authority concurred with the request for an accuracy study. The second issue begins at the bottom of page 21 in Attachment 1. The DLS write-up provides a brief summary of the pausing of the mailings of notices of toll due to COVID-19 and the tolling system conversion. The analysis then goes on to discuss the backlog and the billing strategy used by the authority to avoid sending large bills to customers. Exhibits 12 and 13 on pages 22 and 23 show the call center's monthly call volume and average call wait time since February of 2021. The authority was asked to comment on the ongoing backlog and to provide an update on the hiring of call agents and whether the agency is on track to meet its timeline of processing the backlog by summer of 2022. Turning to page 2 in Attachment 2, the authority begins its response by noting that, like other businesses and agencies nationwide, the agency and the call center vendor have been significantly impacted by staffing shortages, retention challenges, and COVID-19 related quarantining and absences. And that, as shown in Exhibit 13, call wait times are declining with increased staffing. There are now over 200 call agents, up from 63 in November, which is when the agency experienced its peak in call volumes and call wait times. The authority also notes that in response to the request of the board, the governor, and customers, as you all know, the board approved a customer assistance plan last month. The plan was formulated in response to 3 key requests or concerns of authority customers to 1, have more time to pay outstanding tolls, 2, have additional time to pay tolls without the consequence of late fees, and 3rd, to be able to get through to the customer service center in a timely fashion. Finally, the authority notes that it is well on its way to eliminating the backlog of transactions. The processing of backlog transactions is 99% complete for EasyPass transactions, and that 91% complete for posting video and image toll transactions to customers' accounts, with the mailing of NOTBs expected to be mailed by summer of 2022. The final issue begins at the bottom of page 23 in attachment 1. The analysis provides a brief overview of the Alleviating Fiscal Stress report that was submitted last year, which included a financial forecast through fiscal 2031. You all may recall that you received a copy of the report in your December board materials and that an overview of the report was provided during the December 2021 board meeting. In summary, the write-up notes that as shown in Exhibit 15 on page 25, beginning in fiscal year 2024, the authority is expected to be close to its unencumbered cash target of $350 million. And should the authority fall below its debt service coverage policy, a toll increase may be required in fiscal 2030. The analysis also notes that the forecast submitted by the authority assumed that the TIFIA loan for the Nice Middleton Bridge would materialize, and asks that the agency comment on the status of the loan application and how its financial forecast will be impacted if the loan is not approved. DLS concludes by providing a brief update on revenues through January 31st and asks the authority to comment on the possibility of a toll increase in fiscal year 2030 and whether alterations to current capital plans could be made to avoid the financial stresses reflected in the forecast. Regarding the TIFIA loan application, the authority advised the subcommittee that the Nice Middleton Bridge TIFIA loan allocation was recommended by the U.S. Department of Transportation Credit Council for approval, and that the application is now awaiting final approval by the Department of Transportation. Regarding the possibility of a future toll increase in fiscal 2030 and whether alterations to current capital plans could be made to avoid the financial stresses reflected in the forecast, the agency noted that its responsibility to operate and maintain Maryland's toll facilities requires a strategic approach that avoids significant capital system preservation and expansion costs from clustering within a narrow period of time. As such, the agency deploys strategies such as an asset lifecycle reviews, long-range needs analysis, and planned debt service cycles. The authority strategically issues debt in managed cycles that entails periods of temporary increased financial leverage to accomplish major capital projects, followed by years of declining debt and fewer new money financings. Currently, reducing the authority's capital budget will come with great risk and costs, given that nearly 3/4 of the 6-year CTP is under contract. Future possibilities for capital program reductions will depend on conditions and statewide priorities. As noted in the authority's responses, a future toll rate increase may be required to adhere to the agency's financial standards, and that irrespective of mitigation actions, future potential toll rate increases may periodically be necessary due to inflation or to support long-term population or economy-driven system expansion. The response also notes that biannually, the board adopts a 6-year financial forecast, which ensures that sufficient revenues are available to meet the agency's operating and capital budget needs while maintaining the agency's financial coverage ratios. Lastly, the agency noted that if necessary, it can leverage its stable and experienced leadership team to develop mitigation plans and strategies to alleviate financial challenges. And with that, unless Will or Deb has anything else to add, this concludes the overview of the fiscal year 2023 budget analysis document. Thank you.
Chantel, if I may just briefly, I'll just add that we did present this information at both of the MDTA budget hearings at both the House and the Senate, and our responses, I would say, were generally well received.
Member Ardinger?
Chantel, I know you touched on it, but it sounds like we've made some progress on the TIFIA loan. Can you just review again where we are in that process, please?
Yes. So the loan was approved by the U.S. Department of Transportation Credit Council, was recommended for approval. It now goes to the department secretary for final approval. And so-
Okay, so that sounds like progress. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
That's encouraging.
Sorry, go ahead.
Remember?
Chantal, just a quick question regarding to the results of the audit and the overbilling. So, you know, the period that spanned, of course, was under our system, and I understand that we accepted the we accepted the recommendation in terms of studying any potential overbillings. But I guess my question is related to the source of that overbillings and the measures that we've taken in the new system and our new system to make, from a checks and balances perspective, to ensure that we will at least identify any issues going forward.
Will, do you want me to start to address that, or would you like to?
Let me kick it off, and then if you can kind of dovetail on the end, Deb, if you have anything to add. So the vendor, let's talk about overbillings, because I think it's important to separate for our customers what would be characterized as an overbilling versus what is a valid charge, right? Because there's a lot of instances today, and I'll give you a couple of examples where customers have alleged overbilling, but in reality are valid charges. And some clear examples are, we see a lot where a customer will say, I keep seeing all these charges on my statement, and I'm not even driving that much. But the customer didn't go in and remove, for example, their commuter plan from their account, and they're not using enough trips within the plan cycle in order to not incur unused trip charges. And those will every month hit their account, and it's an unusual charge from the customer's perspective, but it's not an overbilling. It's not an overcharge. It's just frankly set up to align with the toll rate policy. Another example, we've talked about before that we implemented a proactive plan in the new system to be able to update customers' credit cards. When that system, the new updater service was deployed, it will update cards for customers who had an expired card if their participating card company will allow that. And through that process, we updated 17,000 credit cards. But unfortunately, in our system, we have over 30,000 customers who still have expired credit cards, who we've sent email notices to, and who are receiving video tolls because their accounts are in negative status. And so, those kind of cases, those customers believe that they're an Easy Pass customer, believe that they should be charged either at the commuter rate or the Easy Pass Maryland rate. But unfortunately, because of the issue with their card, they're receiving video tolls at a $6 rate or a $12 rate, depending on the facility. And so, those kinds of issues, I just want to be clear, are things that we're doing everything we can to try to reach out to our customers to make sure that they understand and that those are not overcharges and they're not related to the audit. Okay. But like any tolling system nationally that you could possibly find, there will be instances where equipment has an issue from time to time. We'll see it occasionally where an image of a license plate, the OCR system will read the plate, and instead of reading an F, it'll read an E, and that will be sent to the wrong customer. In those cases, the customer reaches out to us. We transfer the toll to the correct customer and remove that from the customer's account. Those cases, the audit that was done found, even in the old system, kind of addressing that, one of the examples that they found showed that our accuracy rate was 0.000065. So even in that old system, there were controls in place that allowed for highly accurate transaction processing. Our most recent trip accuracy check recorded that system-wide we had a 99.96 accuracy rate in the tolling equipment. So just first of all, I wanted to start by reassuring you that we do take tolling transaction quality extremely seriously, that all of our checks are showing that we do have high quality transactions. When there are instances, in the rare cases that there are an error, we credit the customers, we make them whole. But to answer your question directly, both the lane side services that CAPS provides and TransCore's services on the back office, they're required to have a quality plan. Those include things like CAPS's system has what's called ROMs that monitors the system and sends alerts when there appears to be anything that's off from normal baseline conditions. They're responsible for both QA and QC, and the MDTA independently performs audits, and then separately any audit like the audit that you referred to from LLA, we cooperate with to make sure that our equipment is running well. So there are a lot of quality checks in place, and those are done on a very routine basis. Regular immediate monitoring through the ROM system by CAPS, and then regular checks of the system through MDTA audits. Does that answer your question, Member Rosen?
Yeah, it does. Thanks for the thorough explanation, Will. I appreciate it.
Member Carroll?
Well, just wanted to tie 2 points together, one from our last full board meeting, and I think the stat that you just gave us just a couple seconds ago. If I remember correctly, last board meeting, you said that we roughly plus or minus have about 150 million transactions annually from a tolling perspective. Is that fairly accurate?
Yeah, it's actually, for your help, in your board package, there is a chart which shows the annual transactions. If you bear with me 1 second, I'll find it here. Okay. It is, I'm sorry, I thought it was in here. Let me find it.
No worries.
It is. It's Exhibit 2 on PDF page 18 of your package. It shows that the estimated FY20 is actually going to be just over 160 million.
And when you place that against that accuracy rate, I think you said 99.96. So there's like a 0.04% fail rate, if you will. That, to put that into perspective, although that would seem like a large number, roughly 600,000 possible errors, you're talking about that against 150 million transactions, which I just want to bring perspective to the conversation, where there's really, that's a huge number, but in reality, is that really a problem?
Well, let me even go one step further, because what we're talking about is trip accuracy that is performed on the lane side. There's numerous checks that TransCore performs before that transaction even gets posted to an account. Okay. So they look for certain potential issues at the interface when they receive the transactions, and if there's any issue, they reject it at that point. So that number even gets filtered lower by the checks that TransCore does before they even receive the transaction.
Okay. From a quality assurance perspective, it does seem like, I mean, we're not going to ever be perfect, I think, but this is probably as close to perfect as you might get, reasonably speaking, given the scale of transaction volume that we have as an authority.
We certainly treat every customer's transaction like it's really important. We don't want anyone to have any errors anytime. And so we're going to keep working to continue to tune the equipment, make sure we're working with our vendors to address any errors that are identified and see if there's any, root causes that can be corrected and make sure we improve continuously. But certainly, a perfect system is not possible. We have accidents, trucks that run into equipment, various issues that come up. It's just, you're not going to find any tolling agency in the country that has a perfect system.
Okay. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? I just wanted to add a couple of comments. Certainly, we've said this before, but this part of all of this, big segment of all of what we're talking about with the customer assistance plan and everything. That when you have a pandemic, I've never in my career in business ever seen anything more challenging in my field. And I think that there's no person, no organization, public or private, that hasn't been impacted by the pandemic. Some more than others based on the nature of the business. And I think we saw that when you're collecting tolls and, collecting money, and you can't really do that during a pandemic. It presents a problem and a challenge. And I think we've all mentioned that before. It's been said. I think right now, the most important thing is that we continue to maintain our strong financial integrity. And I think at the same time, I know that probably everyone on this call and everyone at MDTA is, they get up every morning and go in to try to make a better experience for the customer too. I think that's very important. I think the customer assistance plan, I think we take it I know the board takes it very seriously. I know others in the organization take it very seriously. And I think that that's what I think our focus should be on. And in order to execute that plan, we have to be sure to make sure, and we maintain that real strong financial integrity. And I think that we got a great organization, a lot of hard workers, a lot of dedicated people that could be our finest hour. So there are my comments on that.
If I could just for a second thank Chantel, Jeff, and Deb as well, kind of echoing your point, Member Von Paris. I don't know if the board understands this, but nearly all of the work in order to prepare for the budget hearings and responses to this occurred over weekends. There was, all of the team has worked probably the last 3 to 4 weekends on preparing responses to this report and preparing materials for the budget hearings, and they did just a lights out job. So like you said, we have a lot of people that go above and beyond, and especially during legislative session, and I just want to thank them.
Well said, Will. I agree with you. Okay. I don't see any other questions. So Chantel, thank you. And Jeffrey, thank you for the presentation. We appreciate everything that you do, all of you, and Deb as well, others on the team. So that brings us to item number 4. It's the last item on the agenda today. It's an update. And Simon's here to provide an update on the MDTA's travel plazas. It's an annual update on the operations and maintenance of the travel plazas. Well, good morning. How are you, Simon?
I'm doing well, sir. How about yourself?
Fine, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Simon Najar. For the record, I'm the administrator for the Maryland Travel Plazas, and I'm here to present the annual report on operations for 2021 at the Maryland and Chesapeake houses. In the first part of my presentation, I'd like to give a very brief background about the travel plazas and review the operations from last year. Looking forward to 2022 and beyond, including challenges through which the travel plazas must navigate. The MDTA is in a P3 agreement with Aries USA for the operation of the Maryland and Chesapeake houses. These welcome centers serve as places where travelers can rest, eat, and use the restrooms while being in an environment that's safe and welcoming, full of Maryland hospitality. These houses also serve as ambassadors for our state, and the daily charge is to provide every valued guest with a positive customer experience that reflects positively on Maryland and compel them to return. I will now focus my presentation on the slides before you. I will not go through each slide, so I will jump around, fast forward. But I'd like to bring your attention to slide number 5, which is the Maryland House. And one of the unique features that I'd like to point out to the committee and those who are on this call is that it shows 2 historical markers that we have on site and lists many of the contributions that Maryland has made to America. It's very exciting to present these proud moments to our guests in the vestibule as we display words that epitomize Maryland, such as Fort McHenry and the Preakness. Moving forward in the slides and going northbound on I-95, we have the Chesapeake House with this distinct nautical look with its exterior and interior woodworks evoking imagery of a ship's bow. In the second part of my presentation, I will now focus attention on the financial data about the Maryland travel plazas. Moving to slide number 10, this shows the revenue collected by the MDTA by fiscal year, and you can see the effects of the travel disruptions caused by COVID-19 continuing to fiscal year 2021. If you would kindly turn to slide 11, this was a slide that I presented last year, and hopefully this will be the last time that we talk about COVID. But you can see as you read from left to right, there's been an uptick in the revenue from March 2021 to January 22, where we collected $3.54 million versus $2.45 million for the same period when COVID impacted Maryland, or specifically March 20 to January 2021, and pre-COVID, using March 2019 to January 2020 data, that was $4.14 million. The next slide, slide number 12, shows who is driving the revenue at each travel plaza. These are the top 3 concepts or eateries that we have at the travel plazas. And on the left-hand side, you see Chesapeake House with Sunshine Market leading with $3.0 million in sales, followed by Wendy's, Pizza Hut, KFC. Again, this is for calendar year 2021. Moving to the right, you'll see Maryland House with the Sunshine Market again leading the pack with $3.6 million in sales, followed by Dunkin' Donuts and Wendy's. Moving to slide number 13, it's crucial to note that the plazas operate in a very competitive hospitality dining environment where one must quickly recognize change, then adapt and refine as needed. In late spring, the concessionaire embarked on a major refresh of the Deli & Co concepts at both houses with a focus to honor the military and present Maryland-centric merchandise that appeals to a wide audience. Slide 13 shows the military half of the Deli & Co concept at the Chesapeake House. This wall showcases t-shirts, caps, masks, and other military gear for under $20, and each item bears a service hologram, signifying that each item was approved by the Pacific Branch of the Armed Services. Moving to slide 14, you can see various Maryland products for sale at the Deli & Co. at the Maryland House, where guests can load up on Old Bay, Phillips, Burger, and McCutcheon products. There's a tasting bar where guests can sample ciders and other juices from McCutcheon's or Frederick. Guests can also purchase military and Maryland products at both houses. It's important to note that these products are of better quality and appeal to a wider range, a wider audience, and present the state in a better light than the typical I'm Crabby t-shirts. The goal is to broaden appeal to guests and local citizens, and perhaps folks will do some major holiday shopping at the travel plazas. The Deli & Co concepts have been dormant for more than a year, and it's a positive note that they're generating steady income. As we continue to discussing improvements, please turn to slide number 15, where you can see before and after photos of the fueling station at Chesapeake House. Our fuel provider, Sunoco, completed several significant improvements at both houses in 2021, including replacing all fuel dispensers, upgrading point-of-sale systems, restroom improvements, replacing the main doors, canopies, and the tray dress to a more contemporary dark blue background. Sunoco is going to continue the project, complete the project prior to Memorial Day with a revamping of the convenience stores at both plazas. Moving to slide 16, the concessionaire has truly embraced the military, honoring them with events such as Memorial Day, Veterans Day, Pearl Harbor Day, and inviting veterans groups to the Chesapeake House. Last year, America's 9/11 ride returned to the Maryland House after a one-year absence due to COVID-19 and marking the 20th anniversary of 9/11. On a beautiful beautiful sunny August Saturday, we had over 450 participants on motorcycles and over 150 support personnel, including the MDTA and Maryland State Police, along with first responders from up and down the East Coast, thunder into the north side of the Maryland House. Airs USA provided donuts, water, and goodie bags to everyone, and the Sunoco team had everyone fueled up per schedule, and the foundation members were very pleased with the hospitality provided by all. And I sincerely invite everyone who's on this call to come out. I believe that's going to be held this year on August the 20th. We are expecting, instead of 450 participants, the limit I hear now is at 600 participants. Events like these help drive traffic and sales, and the hope is to expand and have more of these events to make the travel plazas more of a destination than a pit stop. Wrapping up this presentation, as we look ahead, we must constantly improve the customer experience while recognizing the mix of challenges, which I list on slide number 17. These enhancements include parking lot and ramp repairs, increasing the hours of operation, and the completion of Sunoco renovations. The challenges also include the lingering effects of COVID-19, such as when will bus traffic resume to pre-COVID levels, and or are travelers apt to drive themselves or travel at all if fuel prices remain high. Another challenge is staffing. As we all know from media reports, the service industries have been heavily impacted by a very tight labor market, causing concerns in recruiting, hiring, and retaining staff. We also have direct competition with the Delaware House, which is not far from Chesapeake House, and direct competition with local restaurants such as Wendy's, Dunkin' Donuts, but the others like McDonald's, which one can find via phone apps. The technological challenges continue to evolve as price-conscious travelers use apps to research fuel prices, and others where customers can earn rebates by patronizing Pacific merchants. The takeaway here is the plazas are adapting to market changes as they arise, which has been a very challenging time caused by the pandemic. And the travel plazas are always looking to improve the mix of offerings while facing a tight labor market that has impacted the industry. Slides 18 and 19 are included for reference purposes. They document how the MDTA derives revenue by plaza and commodity. This concludes my presentation. I thank you all for your time today and very happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Simon. Are there any questions?
Simon, thanks for the great presentation. Just one quick question. Can you just comment on security at the travel plazas?
The security, it's patrolled by the the state police.
Have there been any incidents of note, or are we in a good place from a security perspective?
We have an excellent relationship with the JFK barracks. We did have an incident back in January prior to the riots in DC, where some of the men's room, we suffered some damage, which Iris addressed. We reached out to the state police barracks. They did several patrols. We did not have any further issues.
Okay, very good question, Member Rosen. Simon, thank you very much. I don't see any other questions here. Thank you for It's an important part of MDTA.
Thank you, Simon.
Appreciate all you do.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Alrighty. That concludes item number 4. Member Carroll.
John, I believe we are about to adjourn. But before we do that, today is International Women's Day. So I think we'd be remiss if we didn't recognize the efforts. And I'm going to forget some names, but I want to say every woman at MDTA, specifically folks like Natalie and Chantel and Donna, Deb, and member Ardinger.
Oh, he's so sweet.
Okay.
For all the work that you do, for the great examples that you set, for all of us. We appreciate everything that you do. So we'd be remiss, I think, as a board if we didn't recognize all of the women of MDTA and thank them for their efforts and contributions.
Very nice, Member Carroll. You're very
Yeah.
thoughtful.
I don't know how much.
Thank you.
Somebody's, let's see. All right. Thank you very much for that, Member Carroll. Appreciate that. And so well done. I would like to just say, since we're thanking people, I'd like to say just one more comment, and that is we do have, and I've said this before, a great team here at MDTA. A lot of very hardworking men and women, and it makes it all happen. It's a great organization. We have much to be proud of, and to me it seems like when we have some challenges, we all come together and try to use the talent that we have to fix these challenges or to make things better, and that's remarkable. The other thing is, sometimes I take it for granted, but I just wanted to recognize the members of this committee, really, Member Carroll, Member Rosen, Member Ardinger. I know you're all very talented, and I know that you care very much about the role that you play. Take it very seriously. You're hardworking and you're dedicated, not only on this committee, but as members of the board. And it's been an honor. It is an honor to serve with you. So a lot of praise to go around here. So anyway, but since we got that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Rosen, thank you. Is there a second?
Second that, Member Carroll.
Member Carroll. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We stand adjourned. Thank you.